Hi everybody, it's July 1st, and that means it's Canada Day and Rwandan Independence Day, so happy days to you if you celebrate either of those things. And it's time for the update. It's been rainy lately, but the garden is looking beautiful. The sun is out now, and I think summer is definitely on the way. We've got some mid-30s temperatures coming up, and I'm living a little bit in fear, but I've got the splash pool, so I think it'll be okay. But the garden is flourishing. The first sunflower of the season has popped up, and that just makes me happy, and it's just nice to see. So things are going well in the garden, and things have generally been going really well in June. So let's get into the updates. First things first, said goodbye to Sancha. She visited for 3 weeks, and we said goodbye to her at the beginning of the month with a lovely sushi lunch and sent her on her way. It was nice having her here. She's really loving being down in the cabin and making some progress on small things that she's building, and it's exciting to have another friend in the valley when she's here. My other friend Chenade has arrived in full force. She's been here for about a month now, and she and I stopped off at a place to look at some vans. She wants to buy a van. She's got her heart set on it, and we've started the hunt, but it was unsuccessful. I think they wanted 6,000 euros for a van with like over 400,000 kilometers on it, so that seemed a little bit insane. So it was a no-go, but the hunt continues. Streaming season is upon us, or it was in June anyway, because the fire season is coming. We have had rain, so that's been good. The things are about to get really crispy, and that means streaming has to happen. So I've done a bunch of streaming at mine, and I also went over to help at Chenade's place, which is much larger, and we weren't sure if we'd be able to get a tractor, and it turns out we did get a tractor, so streaming around the trees and on the edges of the terraces was helpful, and then the tractor came and did the rest. The garden had a pretty massive overhaul. I did loads of weeding, got rid of just stuff that had been popping up on the edges of the path, and it was satisfying to see the big change with that. I also did some planting. I got a bunch of plants from a friend of mine, put them in the ground, different kind of kale than what I have, some New Zealand spinach, and a couple other things that I totally forget. And then I also did some repotting of the jalapenos. I'm gonna try to go big on the jalapenos this year and keep expanding production, because a lot of people in this area like to buy them, and they're quite expensive in the supermarket, so I have a pretty good market out there, and if I can keep the jars filled, grow lots of jalapenos, then I should have a little fun thing to sell and to barter for in the future as well. So I got those into bigger pots, the idea being that in the winter I can move them into the greenhouse. I'm getting another polytunnel. It hasn't arrived yet, but in the winter I'll move them in, and in the summer I'll move them back out, and hopefully they can grow big and strong, and I can overwinter them and have lots of jalapenos next year as well. Cleared the lemon tree. Sinead climbed up the lemon tree and gave it a good old pick over and got most of the lemons down. We used the olive scoop thing to get some of the highest ones, and yeah, we just had loads of lemons, and we've been working our way through them, making lemon cordial, lemon pickle, and a few other lemony things that I forget. But this tree is amazing. There's more lemons on the way. I can see lots of little green ones up there, and yeah, it was just nice to get the tree cleared and use them up as well. And speaking of lemon pickle, the lemon pickle was something I made with my friend Kimberly a couple of months ago, and it took, I think, 2 months to ferment, and we tried it a couple weeks ago, and it was delicious. So it's nice to cook new things that I know is going to be in my future repertoire for how to use lemons, and also a nice addition to put on cheese or to put on the side of an Indian curry or something like that. So lemon pickle was definitely a winner, and I'll make it again next year for sure. Assembled and rode the new e-bike. The folks at Engwe, they sent over another e-bike to go with the one I already had, and it's got fat tires, it's great, it can keep up with the other one, and Sinead and I basically assembled that together and took it on a ride, and just love them. They're really great. The fat tires are great on the back paths and feel really sturdy, and I feel like we're going to get a whole bunch of use out of these. While Sinead still doesn't have a car, she's been riding the bike around loads, and yeah, it's just good that she's got some independence. She can go out on bicycle adventures, get where she needs to go, so it's been great having those two bikes. And at one of our bike trips, we went and visited Mount of Oaks, where Sinead was doing a natural building course, and I went over, had lunch, checked out what they were doing, and it's always nice to go over and visit my friends Barbara and Emma, who have this really amazing community. If you ever want to do some courses or think about volunteering or just visiting, check out Mount of Oaks. I'll put the the link below. Changed pipes and pumps. I have a water pump in the tank right there underneath the deck, and I had it popping out in a different location. It wasn't piped up properly, and so anytime I wanted to use it, I had to put it back into the tank, and I basically just changed where the pumps were. There's a lot of digging, a lot of reburying, and I repiped the pump, put it in a different location, so that now all I have to do is flip a switch and my water tanks will start filling. So that was a big improvement, and I'm really happy I had that done because it's annoying having to take the top off the tank, put the pump in, put it back on, and now I don't need to do any of that. So that's a win. Put down more geotextile fabric. I've got that black fabric all over the garden, and I've just laid some more out. I've decided on where I want a few more paths. I still haven't decided on all the paths, so I've got a bit more to put down still. And I'm still waiting on sawdust. I asked the sawdust dude if he could deliver a big bag of sawdust. I think it's free for the sawdust and 20 euros for delivery, but he doesn't have any at the moment, so I'll check in again with him soon and try to get the sawdust down on those black pieces of fabric ASAP, because it looks kind of weird just having the fabric, and also the weeds have been popping through the fabric a little bit, and I think with the sawdust on there, it'll stop that. We did Tracy the Trumpet. Tracy, she looked pretty sad when my mom and I put her into the ground about a month ago, I guess, and I wasn't sure if she's going to survive, but she's come through. She's looking great, and I just cleared a whole bunch of weeds at her base just to give her a little more space, a little more of a comfortable living situation, and she's thriving. So I got that done. The front of the house looks a little better, and Tracy seems a little happier. Plastered inside the closet. This is a job I've been meaning to do for ages. I mixed up the lime for it a long time ago, and then it just sat in a bucket, as usual, in my way. That's what I always do. I always mix up lime, expecting to use it, and then I get distracted with other things, and it just lives in my space, always at my feet. But the good thing about lime putty is that it can stay for a long time. You just cover it with a layer of water, even when it's mixed with sand. So it's all good. I basically just rehydrated it again and then plastered the wall, and it was the first time that I've done a large section of finished plaster, and it was a little intimidating because it's the final thing. I didn't know if I had the mix right, I didn't know if I had my technique right, but it seems like everything got on there okay. Nothing's cracked so far, so it's been about maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks since I finished that, and there's no signs of any cracks. So that's really good, and I'm really happy with the color and the way the finish looks as well. So that was a big job, and I finally got it done. Cut the broken plum tree. The plum tree. It was doing amazingly for me. It was overloaded with fruit. It was being bountiful, plentiful, and being good to me. But I didn't thin the fruits off, and the poor plum tree lost a few branches because of it. Totally makes sense. Plums are heavy, and there were loads and loads on there. But I ended up coming back and chopping off the branches and then cutting them with my saw so that they were closer to the tree, making a nice clean cut. And I'm hoping the tree will be okay. It looks like it's fine. And the plums that I got off, I made a green fig jam from those, and it ended up being very delicious. And the plums that are on there still on the tree are ripening, and the other plums that I picked off the tree, I've got 2 huge bags. Those are ripening in the bags as well. So I'm going to make some plum wine and some plum sauce this month as well to try to use up this huge amount of plums. But I'm very impressed to see that they've ripened off of the tree, and I'm really hopeful that the tree is going to be okay. Yeah, made plum jam. Already talked about that one. It was tasty. Fixed the battery cart. I have this super heavy Bluetti lithium battery thing, solar battery, and it lives at the bottom of my closet just to keep it out of the way, but it doesn't fit properly, so I have to pull it in and out all the time if I want to use it. So I had a little cart, but the wheels were crazy and it wouldn't really do what it was supposed to do, so I changed the wheels, widened the base, and now this little battery cart is doing its job, which is excellent. Made Comfrey Tea. I love comfrey. It's an amazing plant. It does loads of stuff. I think it's got lots of medicinal purposes that I don't know about yet, but I'll learn one day. So I'll plant comfrey everywhere because I like to use it either as a chop and drop mulch, or more often I'll make comfrey tea where you basically just chop off the leaves and stick it in a bucket, stick some water on it, and let it sit there for 5 weeks. It gets super stinky and gross, but it makes excellent fertilizer. Potted more jalapenos. As I said, I want to ramp up the jalapeno operation, and I basically put more of the jalapenos from small pots into big pots. So I've got a few more still to do. I need to get a bit more soil and a few more pots, and then I'll have my army of probably 30 jalapeno plants ready to go, ready to take me into the end of the summer, and hopefully I'll get a nice harvest off those, and hopefully I can make lots of jars of jalapenos to trade and sell. Prepared the pool. The weather hasn't been quite hot enough yet to get in the pool. The water in that pool is freezing cold, and I definitely need mid-30s to want to actually go in there. Floating on top on the ring is totally fine when it's not super hot, but getting in is actually kind of painful unless it's really, really hot out. So I basically blew up the ring to allow me to float on top of the pool and refilled the pool, cleaned it out, and it's ready for this week when it's going to get super hot. And I'm looking forward to going in for a little swim on Friday when it's going to be something like 37 degrees. So that's going to be the first really hot day we're going to have, and I'll be very happy to have the pool ready. Cleaned the top terrace up by my fig tree where I wanted to build the compost toilet, where I have piles of rocks and everything. I also had a big pile of dirt. I had a bucket of lime sort of just sitting out there in the way as usual, and lots of little bits around the place as well. So I tidied up the terrace, got stuff out of the way to the best of my abilities, and I also made a little stone-lined garden bed for the bottom of my fig tree, and I think it looks really good, and I've been asking for tips of what to plant in the bottom of the tree. It's not a massive space below it because it's not a massive space up there, and I have things that I'll need to put near the fig tree, so I don't want everything to be too crowded. So I made the circle pretty small, so I can't do like a massive guild of all kinds of different things, but I've got some tips, and I'm gonna choose a few plants and stick them under the fig, and hopefully together they'll thrive and help each other. Started the compost toilet frame. I did the floor, I think last month, just out of pallets, and the frame still needed to be made, and I just never got around to it straight away. But I got some pine poles from Sancha's place. We dragged them up. My friend Heather visited, and she did some pole stripping and got them ready to go. And then I finally started to assemble them into the frame structure for the compost toilet. The compost toilet is actually finished, and you're going to see more of that in the next video rather than sharing it here. So the frame's done, everything's done, it looks great, and you'll see that in the next video. Made fridge pickles. 'Tis the season for cucumbers, and I have little pickling cucumbers that are growing really well, and I got them into a fridge pickle concoction, which is basically vinegar, salt, a little bit of sugar, and a whole bunch of different spices, and that's in the fridge. And so now pickle season has begun, and I can enjoy those, and life is good. Life is better with pickles. So June was a good month. I didn't get as much done as I would have liked. It was busy, it felt busy. I was hanging out with Sinead and Sancha quite a lot, and I also spent some time helping Chenade as well. So I'm excited that we're neighbors, and it's going to be really fun to work together at her place, and then work together at my place, have our own independent projects, and it's going to be a lot of stuff to share, and I'm really excited. So things are moving forward at Chenade's. She's had a lot of progress on the yurt deck, and the July goal is to get that up, so I'm going to go over and help her do that, possibly help finish the deck as well. And then coming up in the middle of July is Clay Fest, which is a natural building gathering focused on clay. I'm going to go and do a course in how to do an earth floor, and I'm going to do a clay plasters course as well. And I think Sinead's doing clay plasters and clay paint. And then there's a campsite, there's a gathering, and there's, I think, a conference at the end as well. So I'm looking forward to that. We both love natural building more than we can even say. We're pretty obsessed with it. We also went to a straw bale conference in 2018 together. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff we're into, I guess. And I'm looking really forward to going to that. It's going to be fun, and it should be really interesting because I do know some of the people that are going to be there just by following them, by geeking out on their natural building stuff. So it'll be really nice to meet some of those people at the conference as well. And then, last but not least, my July goal is this tool shed. I'm going to get going on it for real this time. I'm not going to keep pushing it aside. It's going to be my priority, and I'm going to get started again on the foundation tomorrow. So that's going to move on. I've only done a little bit on the foundation. It's pretty pitiful what I've actually got done so far. I keep talking about this thing, but July is the month that it's going to happen. I hope. So that's a wrap on June. July is looking like it's going to be really fun and really busy, and I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you've enjoyed this little recap. And I just want to say, as always, thank you for watching my videos. It really does. There's a wasp here getting in the shot. Go on, little wasp. Go that way, wasp. Okay. There's a wasp over there, so I'm just going to hang out over here. Thanks for watching, as always. I really do appreciate all the comments as well. I love it when people chime in with tips or just to say hello. So please do leave me a comment if you just want to say hi. I always love reading them, and I always reply. And if you really like my stuff, I have a PayPal link below where you can check some money my way, and I also have a super thanks button below the video, and both of those are great ways to contribute to my channel and help me keep moving on with the projects as well. So that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed this little recap, and I hope you're as excited as I am for July. It's going to be a hot one, but it's going to be a good one. So thanks for watching, as always, and I'll see you in the next video.